What if the line between the law and the outlaws isn't as clear as we've been told? Welcome back to the Narco Files. Today's story will take you inside a truth that's as unsettling as it is real. We're looking at a shadow world that most people never see. We all grow up thinking cartels are the villains and the government is the hero, right? But what if that's not always true? What if, sometimes, they're on the same side? It sounds unbelievable, but there are real cases, real witnesses, and real agreements that expose a darker side of power. So, here's the big question. Is the government truly at war with the cartels, or quietly working with them? Stick around as we break down the shocking truth about cartel-government alliances. If you like true crime stories that cut deeper than the headlines, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss our next investigation. And tell us in the comments, is the government really trying to stop the cartels, or hiding something bigger? Let's begin. A dangerous dance. Cartels and governments are supposed to be enemies. That's what we're told. Cartels are known for running drugs, causing violence, and breaking the law. Governments are meant to stop them, arrest them, and protect the people. But in many parts of Latin America, and even in the United States, the truth isn't that simple. Behind closed doors, deals are made. Secrets are shared. And sometimes, the same people who are supposed to stop the cartels are the ones helping them. Why does this happen? The answer often comes down to one powerful word: money. Drug cartels make billions of dollars every year. With that much money, they can buy silence, protection, and even power. Police officers, politicians, judges, even entire departments, can be paid off or threatened. In some places, the cartels don't just work around the system. They become part of it. They pay bribes, make secret deals, and even help certain officials stay in power. So while the public hears one story, that the government is fighting the cartels, the real story is often much darker. It's a dangerous mix of power, fear, and corruption. And it raises a big question: who's really in charge? The Mexican example. Let's take a closer look at Mexico, a country that has been deeply hurt by the drug war. In 2019, something happened that shocked people all over the world. Mexican soldiers captured Ovidio Guzmán, the son of Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, one of the most powerful drug lords in history. At first, it looked like a major win for the government. But what happened next left everyone speechless. The Sinaloa cartel, the group El Chapo once led, didn't just sit back. They fought back, with full force. In broad daylight, they blocked roads, set cars on fire, and opened fire in cities. There were shootouts, panic, and people running for their lives. It looked like a war zone. The violence got so bad that the Mexican government made a shocking decision. They let Ovidio go. That's right, the army released him. Why? Because they were outmatched. Too many lives were at risk. That moment sent a clear and frightening message. It showed that the cartels had enough strength to pressure the government into backing down. And it made the world wonder, if the government can't even hold one man, how much power do they really have? Corruption from the inside. In 2020, something happened that shocked both Mexico and the United States. A former Mexican defense minister, General Salvador Cienfuegos, was arrested in the U.S. He wasn't just any official, he had been in charge of the entire Mexican military. But instead of fighting the cartels, he was accused of working with them. The charges were serious. He was accused of accepting bribes, protecting drug shipments, and secretly warning cartel members about investigations. It was a huge betrayal. The person who was supposed to protect the country was helping the criminals. And sadly, he wasn't the only one. Over the years, many people in power, mayors, governors, police chiefs, and even past presidents, have been accused of working with drug cartels. Sometimes they take money to look the other way. Sometimes they make quiet deals to reduce violence in their areas. No matter the reason, it's still corruption. It shows how deep the problem goes. When people in power team up with criminals, the system becomes weak and unfair. It makes it hard for regular people to trust their leaders. In the end, the line between the government and the cartels starts to fade, and that's a dangerous place to be. The U.S. is not innocent. Now, you might think this kind of thing only happens in Mexico or other parts of Latin America, but even the United States has its own history with shady government cartel connections. Back in the 1980s, there was a major scandal called the Iran-Contra affair. The US government was secretly helping rebel groups in Central America. At the same time, cocaine started flooding into American cities. Many people believe that some US agencies knew about the drug trafficking but chose to ignore it because they didn't want to lose political support from those rebels. Then there's Operation Fast and Furious, a more recent example. In that operation, US agents allowed guns to be sold, hoping they could trace them back to cartel leaders. But things went terribly wrong. The weapons disappeared, and many of them ended up being used in violent crimes, including the murder of a US border agent. What started as a plan to catch criminals ended up putting dangerous guns into their hands. These examples show that even powerful governments like the US can make risky choices when politics and crime mix. And sometimes, innocent people pay the price for those decisions. Why these deals happen? So why do cartel government deals keep happening? The answer starts with money. Cartels have a lot of it. They make billions every year, and with that kind of cash, they can pay off almost anyone. For a police officer who barely earns enough to feed his family, a bribe can feel like the only way out. Struggling politicians or low-paid soldiers might take the money too. The second reason is about control. In some places, governments allow certain cartels to operate quietly, as long as they don't cause chaos. It's like a quiet deal: keep the violence low, and we won't bother you. It sounds strange, but sometimes officials believe this helps avoid bloodshed. And third, some governments pick sides. Instead of fighting all the cartels at once, they quietly support one group to weaken the others. It's a risky move, but the idea is that it's easier to manage one big group than many small fighting ones. These kinds of decisions happen in the shadows, far from public view. And while they may bring short-term peace or stability, they often create even bigger problems down the road. Because crime, once protected, becomes harder to stop. The cost of these deals. But these kinds of deals come with a big price. When a government starts working with cartels, even in secret, it slowly loses the trust of the people. People begin to feel like they're on their own, like no one is truly protecting them. In many towns and cities, whole communities suffer. Innocent families get caught in the middle, either because of cartel violence or because of police crackdowns that go too far. The violence doesn't really stop. It just gets more organized and harder to see. When police officers or politicians take bribes, it sends a dangerous message to everyone watching. Doing the wrong thing can help you get ahead. That message spreads fast. People start thinking there's no point in following the rules or doing the right thing. They stop believing in the justice system. They stop reporting crimes. They stop showing up to vote. They stop hoping that anything will ever change. And that's the worst part, not just the violence or the corruption, but the damage it does to people's trust. It's not just about a few bad leaders or some dirty cops. It's about losing faith in the system itself. When people no longer believe in their country's laws, courts, or police, the whole system starts to fall apart. And once it's broken, it's very hard to fix. That's the true danger of cartel government deals. Not just what happens in secret, but what those secrets do to the hearts and minds of everyday people. Can anything change? Now, you might be wondering, is there any hope? The answer is yes, but it's not simple. There are still brave people out there trying to make a difference. Journalists, lawyers, and human rights workers are risking their lives every day to tell the truth and expose corruption. Some honest leaders are trying to clean up their governments, even when it's dangerous. But the truth is, they face big risks. Many receive threats. Some are attacked. And sadly, a few are even killed just for doing the right thing. Change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But it starts with awareness. When people understand what's really going on, when they hear the truth, it becomes harder for the corruption to stay hidden. More voices start asking questions. More people start paying attention. That's why stories like these matter. That's why we need to talk about the things others try to cover up. Staying silent only helps the problem grow. But when we speak up, share the truth, and support those who are fighting for justice, we take the first step toward change. It won't be easy, but it is possible, and it starts with not looking away. So now you know the disturbing reality that cartels and governments can sometimes be on the same side. It's not a simple case of heroes and villains. The lines blur, and the very people meant to protect us might be helping the problem. But awareness is power. Once we see the truth, we can demand answers that actually matter. Now it's your turn. Do you believe the government is truly at war with the cartels, or just keeping up appearances while making backroom deals? Share your thoughts in the comments. We see and value every one. If this story made you think twice, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you're ready for the next deep dive. Here at the Narco Files, we reveal the truths others try to bury. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp and stay aware.